Hey everybody, it's Andy Cloudy Mulder, your self-proclaimed metal mogul. Been a while since I said that, but it just rolls off the tongue like I've never been away. But I have been away, haven't I? Again, but never mind. I've been inspired by our Jurgen through a couple of his last videos. Actually, not the collection update. Before we did a couple of videos showing some compilations, and one of the compilations she showed, and he basically based the video on it, was the Music Foundation's Speed Kills. And it didn't so much inspire this video as it completely triggered me. That is one glaring gap in my Music Foundation's collection. Those of you that have been with the channel for quite a long time will know that I went through this phase of trying to collect the first 100 Music Foundations records for no other reason than they were on Music Foundations. And while it was a fun endeavour for a while, I soon realised that there's quite a bit of crap basically in the last 20 or 30 of those 100, and I have since seen the error of my ways and moved a few of them on. So my Music Foundations collection is a little bit smaller than it once was, but there's a playlist on my channel if you want to see what I had at the time when those videos were made. But I digress, as I often do. So Jurgen showed Speed Kills, a various artists album that was released in 1985, and it was really at the dawn of sort of thrash and speed metal. Okay, not the dawn. The dawn was in the US a little bit earlier than that, but it was kind of the dawn for us UK folk, and Music Foundations was a UK label and often a distributor of bands, many of the bands on Combat in the US back in the day. And Speed Kills had Hallows Eve, Exodus, Destruction, Metallica, Slayer, Exciter, Venom, lots of great up and coming, Megadeth as well, I think, great up and coming thrash metal bands. But I haven't got that one. I was so jealous when I saw it, and to think I was I visited Jurgen and saw his amazing record collection in his hometown in Germany back, what was it, last August? Seems like a lifetime away. And had I known he had that one at the time, I don't know if I would have broken any moral boundaries and tried to squirrel that one away or not. We will never know now, because I did not know he had that at the time. I didn't even think to look at his compilation section. The rest of it was just so fantastic. But I'm gonna show you the rest. I have the rest of the Music Foundations compilation, certainly the 80s ones. So I'll show you what I've got. But Speed Kills is the best of the bunch, and I'm not going to show you that one. So it's already a disappointing video from that respect. But I also got me flicking through some of the other 80s compilations that I have on vinyl, so I thought I would throw a few of those in as well. It's not a full collection video by any means, but it's just some of my favourites for whatever reason. So Speed Kills was Music Foundations 54. This first few are going to be earlier than that. So the first compilation that Music Foundations put out, actually, the first compilation that Music Foundations put out was something like MFN4, and that was a punk compilation, and I was never interested in picking that up. Early on in the label's history, when they were just finding their feet and just probably signing bands, they did a punk compilation. I think it's MFN4. Don't have that one. No interest in picking that one up. But the first metal compilation was Hell on Earth. MFN 12, there's the flag bearer, and the highlights are on the front there: Metallica, Virgin Steel, Merciful Fate, Battle Axe, Rat, Tank, Rocks, Talus, and Man of War. When would this have been? So Music Foundations never put dates on their albums, and I didn't even think to look those up actually. So this was 1983. Couple of years before the Speed Kills, but so Metallica were being introduced to us even then. The Metallica track on here is Metal Militia, but they're all bands that were on, pretty much all bands that were on Music for Nations at the time, with the exception of probably Talas. And yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, so Hell on Earth, 1983, Music for Nations. There's about 7 in all. Next up we have MFN 30, which came out, he said, did his research on the fly in 1984, a year later. Again, a lot of bands on Music for Nations. My copy of this is a really good compilation actually, but my copy of this is just full of noise. And I've never been bothered to actually look for another copy since. We've got Man of War, Exciter, Anthrax making an appearance, Earthshaker, Hellion, Loudness, Metallica, Hellstar, The Rods, Tsunami, Earthshaker and Alaska. All of these were on prior albums to MFN 30. Most of these bands' debut albums as well. So Hell Comes to Your House was the second compilation that was released. Now, in my mind, the worst of the bunch. This is a strictly for connoisseurs. Notice the very clever and heavy metal use of a K instead of a C. This is US and Canadian bands, I think, that Music for Nations were, I guess, trying to introduce to the UK market. It's not my kind of metal. I'm not going to say it's rubbish, but it's not my kind of metal. We've got things like Legs Diamond, Desmond Child and the Rouge, and the Rogue. Is it Rogue? I don't know. American Tears, Marcus Black Magic, Moxie, Tantrum, Zon. I mean, there's a few bands I've heard of, like Angel, and I've heard of Moxie, and I've heard of Legs Diamond, of course. There's a Joe Perry, Let the Music Do the Talking. It's more sort of hard rock and not very hard at that at the same time. Max Webster as well. So this was the Gatefold. And this was MFN 32. It's also, I think, about 1984. A little bit of a bio of each of the bands as well, but never did it for me. I think I played that once after I bought it and never gave it the time of day after that. Okay, a pair now. So this is MFN 49. We're getting more towards this Speed Kill era now, which came out in 1985. Also, great cover. Music for Nations says, "Welcome to the Metal Zone." Double LP. We got some good bands on here, some good tracks. Rogue Mail, Motorhead rip-off, basically. Some more Exciter, Merciful Fate, Q5. Wendy O, Tank, Megadeth, TKO, Wasted, Battle Axe, Savatage, Loudness, Exodus, Earthshaker, Alaska, Rods, and Jackstar. Bit of a mixed bunch, but that's a decent comp. I do like that one. The Gatefold just has pictures of the album covers themselves, of those that were on Music for Nations. They followed that up. This is MFN 63, so this is after Speed Kills came out, between these ones. So this is the first compilation that was released after that. This is in 86, and this is Mad Tracks 2, Beyond the Metal Zone. So we've gone to the Metal Zone, and now we've gone beyond it. This one's a little bit more softer. Surgeon, not great. Baby Taku, Eric Martin, Robin Trower. This is all about, I think, a resurgence for Robin Trower. I've never really been a big fan of his stuff. And then Rio, Sugar Creek, and Legs Diamond. A little bit on the soft side. It does pick up with some sort of Tigers of Pang Tang, although this is the mid-80s Tigers of Pang Tang, so it's not really the good stuff. But, you know, Savatage, Metallica, Wasted, Exciter, and Thrasher are the highlights on this one for me. Next up, the singles album, Music for Nations 71. Again, this is a bunch of Music Foundation's bands. They're all label bands, these mostly, anyway, I guess, which is not surprising at all. 1986, over 100 minutes of the best in heavy metal. And this is a really good compilation. See from some of the bands at the front there, as well as those listed on the front, we have some Tank, Virgin Steel. I'm not looking at what's at the front now. I was just going to read about so Metallica, Q5, Rogue Mail, Agent Steel making an appearance on here, Merciful Fate as well. So Jump in the Fire is the Metallica track, and Animal is the Wasp track. And at the time, you couldn't get Animal anywhere else other than this, I think, and the 7-inch single that would have come out at the time, or 12 inches as well. So this is a decent compilation. I'm not sure you're really going to be able to read all of that, but again, another double album, 5-6 tracks aside. Great stuff. And the last Music Foundation's metal album of the 1980s was number 83, MFN 83. Nightmare on Carnaby Street, and this one came out in 1986. Great cover. Again, double album. We've got some thrash, we've got some straight up metal, we've got some power metal in there, and we've also got some kind of A&R stuff as well. Let me look at that side 4. Striper, Michael Furlong, Creek, and Tiger Tails. That's not really going to rock too many people's boats, but you know, Wild Dog's pretty good. Rogue Mail's good. Exodus, Agent Steel, and Heathen. Pretty good stuff. So that was it. So that's my 80s Music Foundations collection that kind of pales into insignificance because I don't have Speed Kills, and I'm totally jealous that Jürgen does have that one as well. But one of these days I will track down a copy. Let me just dive in and show some more as well while we're at it. Let's make it a long ass video because you never know when another one will pop up again. A few early 80s, New Wave British Heavy Metal was a great period for metal comps. A lot of bands didn't have albums out at the moment. There's the pretty famous Metal for Mothers, for only $3.99. Famous, of course, for having like a couple of Iron Maiden non-album tracks on here with Sanctuary and Wrathchild. Obviously, Wrathchild, this was really early. This was around the time that I think this might even come out before Iron Maiden came out, their debut album. But we've got Samson, Praying Mantis, Angel Witch, some Sledgehammer on there as well, and a couple of bands that didn't really, I don't think really did too much in terms of EF Band and Nuts. But there we go. But they followed that up with Volume 2, which was Cut Loud, also for $3.99. This is a pretty decent album. If you don't know bands like Trespass, White Spirit, I think White Spirit, is that one that had Yannick Gers in there? I don't remember. But Chevy, decent track. Trespass have a couple of tracks on there. Horsepower, Zero, with an X. Accounting software as well, by all accounts. Metal for Mothers, Volume 2. And to complete that series, there was an EP as well. Once I had the first two, I had to track this down just to complete the collection. And we've got some Wildfire, some Quartz, Baby Jane, and White Spirit. I cannot for life remember what Baby Jane sounds like. Wildfire is that Paul Mario Day? Was he not in the guy that was in Iron Maiden? One of the Iron Maiden guys anyway. But yes, Metal for Mothers. That's more of a 3-track EP. Got an Ebony. Done a lot of Music Foundation. I've got an Ebony, Metal Maniacs. Again, great cover. A lot of new wave of British heavy metal bands that didn't really get too far. Chateau had an album out. I think Trojan may have had an album out, but Uncle Cyrus, Mad Avenue, Madame Guillotine, Omen with a U, Menace, Fallen Angel, Mirage, Angel Underground, Crywolf, Stranger, and Emerald. I don't think got too far. I'll leave that one out actually. I'll give that one a spin. BBC Friday Rock Show was massive in the UK in the 80s. Released a couple of compilation albums to complement the show. This one was from 1980. Let's see for the logos there. Samson, Praying Mantis, Trespass, Taurus, More, Money, Gillen, and Angel Witch. That's a decent comp, as is the 1981 follow-up, which was, again, the Friday Rock Show. And here we've got Spider, Diamond Head, Sweet Savage, Last Flight, Demon, Black Axe, Witchfind, and Zero. There's that Zero again. Cool. Couple of... So K-Tel to me, when I was growing up, was always... the adverts, I'm sure they were advertising albums that weren't available in the shops, and they were mail order only, which was, considering most of the albums people buy at mail order now, it's must be way ahead of its time. But they put out a couple of albums, Axe Attack and Axe Attack Volume 2. Again, decent compilations. These would have been, they would have licensed the songs, I guess, rather than being on the label. But Axe Attack has some Rainbow, some Judas Priest, some Girls' School, UFO, Iron Maiden, Running Free's on there. Frank Marino, some Motorhead, and again a similar sort of eclectic mix of bands on Volume 2. Some White Snake has been added in. Blue Oyster Cult, Godzilla, love that song. Scorpions, The Zoo. So this was what, 80 and 81. So the two Axe Attacks from K-Tel. This is quite interesting. This is a 1980 Monsters of Rock compilation. Judas Priest also played in 1980, but they're not to be seen or even talked about on this album. So I don't know if there's some label licensing issues or what went on, but there are tracks from Touch, Riot, Saxon, April Wine, Scorpions, and Rainbow, but not Judas Priest. Pick this one out just for the cover. That's mental, isn't it? And a very interesting mix of bands. Look at that. If you've got Hallow Rocks, Gary Moore, Judas Priest, Motorhead, Venom, and Metallica, and Accept, all on the same compilation. Again, decent comp. I don't mind it when compilations kind of throw you in lots of different directions. Sometimes it's cool if you're in the mood for one style of music and you get that, but all over the place. My original Stars on Thrash, big favourite in the metal community here, introduced me to a lot of thrash bands, and also scared the shit out of me when it came to things like Slayer. I think probably because it was Evil Has No Boundaries, a live version, so I didn't quite get the nuances at the time, and that completely put me off Slayer for ages. But Snow White, this is my introduction to Paradox, Stormtroopers of Death, Flotsam and Jetsam, and things like Atrophy and Hades. That is a great memory for a lot of us UK folk. Another Roadrunner one. This was all the old guitar wankery. Masters, Marty Freeman, Jason Becker. Don't know. Oh, Apocrypha. We've got a couple of albums with them. Vicious Rumours, Dr. Mastermind. Lots of shredders, but on a compilation album. Again, Roadrunner, budget price. I lapped those up while I was younger because it was just, I didn't have much money. Jürgen showed the UK Thrash Assault, which is a great little compilation. The War Trance track on here is absolutely superb. Officially pronounced dead. Look that up on YouTube. That is my recommendation of the video. But Hydrovane, Sniper. So this Lemedos Rill. I thought it's because I'm from Wales. Welsh has double L as a letter, believe it or not. And I always used to think they were a Welsh band, but apparently it's backwards. And the RIIL there means left to right, and backwards it's Sodomall. So there we go. 2 tracks from each of these bands. But Jürgen showed that one, so I thought I'd pull out another UK thrash comp, A Taste of Armageddon. And this has some pretty cool bands that never really went anywhere. Treason, Metal Messiah, Deviant, Resentment, Sniper. Sniper had an album out, I think, or at least a kind of like a posthumous album, released a lot later. Wreckage, First Blood, Warp Speed, Arbitrator, Oh, there they are, didn't they? And Purgatory. Yeah, some killer UK thrash on this one. A Taste of Armageddon. And yeah, I thought I'd just finish up with this one. This one's a bit of a. So this was a Metal Hammer trying to reboot UK metal at the end of the 90s when all metal was basically waning. And this is what I wanted to talk about earlier when I was saying that there's such a mix of bands on here. We've got everything from, I think, Tiger Tails to Virus, Acid Rain are on here, Reanimators on here, Death Wish, but then you have like Wrathchild, which are glam, Licks, I think Midnight Blue, Trino. There's everything on here from sort of AOR to hard rock to metal, and they've chucked them all together in a complete and a hot mess of bands. This album to me doesn't really flow that well because you're flicking between all the different styles. But there we go. Thought I'd share a couple of handful of different compilations, all inspired by Jurgen and my complete jealousy that he has Speed Kills 3. I'm off to Discogs, see if I can find a copy. See you all.